For the moment, we head to Iran, which is giving headaches to world powers. The United States has sounded an alarm. It says Iran can make a nuclear bomb. It's ready to make a nuclear bomb. That's the assessment of this man, Robert Malley. He serves as the U.S. Special Envoy for Iran. And recently he gave an interview. He was talking about Iran's uranium stockpile. I have that statement with me. This is what Robert Malley said. And I'm quoting, "It would take them a matter of weeks to build a bomb. This would be something that the US government would know, we would see, and to which we would react quite forcefully, as you can imagine." Weeks to make a bomb, he says. We cannot verify this assessment, but we can tell you that Tehran has been rapidly growing its uranium stockpile, enriching uranium, and it has every incentive to pursue weapons. The nuclear deal that was supposed to stop Tehran from building a nuclear weapon is on life support. Recently, American and Iranian officials were in Qatar. European officials were there too. For more than a year now, the Europeans have been acting as intermediaries. Europe made a fresh attempt to restore the nuclear deal. It called American and Iranian diplomats for talks to Doha. They tried to secure a deal, but there was no breakthrough. And the US is blaming Iran for this.
Iran has consistently introduced extraneous demands, demands that or issues that go beyond the four walls of the JCPOA. The JCPOA is about one thing, it's about one thing only, and that's Iran's nuclear program. To introduce anything that goes beyond the narrow confines of the JCPOA suggests a lack of seriousness, suggests a lack of commitment. And that, unfortunately, is what the team saw once again in Doha.
We were ready, but Iran did not take the deal. That is what Washington is saying, and Iran contests that version. Listen to their foreign minister.
Despite some media claims from the American side, we have not raised any demands outside of the nuclear deal. Our demands are completely within the bounds of the 2015 agreement.
Our demands are justified. That's what Iran says. What are these demands? Well, they've not shared them with the public. But in the past, Iran has demanded guarantees from the US. Number one, the US will not torpedo the nuclear deal again. They'll not kill it again. Number two, the US will not violate its obligations. And number three, Iran will not be sanctioned again under any other pretext. So Iran wants an ironclad deal this time, something that guarantees that the US will not back out again. And to get it, Tehran has the right leverage, the uranium stockpiles. So if it wants, it can push for a favorable pact. Iran's arch rival Israel does not want that to happen. Their interim Prime Minister Yair Lapid was in France. He met with French President Emmanuel Macron. Israel remains opposed to the nuclear deal. It does not want this pact to be revived. But if this deal goes through, Israel wants Iran to be subjected to tougher terms, which is why Lapid traveled all the way to France. He wants President Macron on his side.
It is important our voice be heard at this time against this dangerous deal, against the organization and the nuclearization of Iran on this issue. I will discuss this with my friend, President Macron.
Well, what did Macron say? Did Lapid succeed in his mission? He did not. The French president still supports the nuclear deal. He believes there is no alternative to dialogue.
I wish to again reiterate our desire to succeed as soon as possible with the negotiations on a return to the aspect of the Iran deal. We agree with Israel that this deal will not be enough to contain the destabilizing activities of Iran. But more than ever, I remain convinced that an Iran that is on the nuclear threshold could conduct even more dangerous activities. And so we have to defend this deal, take into account security interests of our friends in the region, primarily Israel, and top this off with stronger negotiations of ballistic and regional activities.
Et le compléter par des négociations.
So Israel will have to live with the pact. But the bigger question is, will a deal even happen? So far, the efforts of the West, especially the United States, have been fruitless. With each failed attempt, the space to negotiate is shrinking. Europe's top diplomats are now desperate. Josep Borrell spoke to the Iranian foreign minister, and here's what he said afterwards. If we want to conclude an agreement, decisions are needed now. And there are indications that all sides could meet for a dialogue again. Qatar is pushing for this meeting. Their foreign minister visited Tehran today. He met with the leadership of Iran. Qatar says Iran is committed to keeping the pact alive. So do the Western powers share that commitment is the question. We'll have to wait and